greening the fashion industry, discussing the risks and opportunities for business. What is the relationship between biodiversity and the fashion industry?
Well, let me first tell you what is the relationship between all sectors, all industry and biodiversity, and why this is important to look at biodiversity. Science tells us that we are going through an extinction rate of species never experienced before. This loss of biodiversity will have an impact on ecosystem services and goods, upon which we depend, all of us in all sectors. We depend on pollination, we depend on water purification, we depend on soil fertility. All these are examples of services that nature provides. They are worth north of $70 trillion a year.
Wow.
So this is quite dramatic for if we have a loss of these ecosystem services and goods. The fashion industry, like every other sector, has an impact. The fashion industry relies a lot on raw material, natural raw material. So for example, cotton. Cotton has an impact on water. For 1 kilogram of cotton, we need 20,000 liters of water. Cotton uses up to 1/4 of all pesticides. Another example of raw material that the fashion industry is using is pulp, wood pulp, that is used for modal and viscose. In order to produce the yearly production of viscose and modal, we need 70 million trees every year.
Good grief.
This is equivalent of, we're talking about football, 40,000 fields every year are logged to produce this material.
I understand.
Pollution is also another huge area of impact of the sector because of all the dyeing input used in the production of textiles. So the sector has an impact, and this is what IUCN wanted to look at, try to understand what is the impact on biodiversity.
Right, that's my next question actually. Why did IUCN decide to intervene?
Well, first of all, we had to recognize there are a number of initiatives already out there. There are initiatives specific to certain actions or certain type of impacts that the sector has. So for example, water, pollution, there are a number of activities ongoing on cotton. What we felt was really missing was an overarching system framework to help the sector understand how the different areas of action impact on biodiversity, and also therefore to help them to have a holistic approach to how they manage their impact.
Okay. Would you say that this is just another report, or does this report have something special that businesses should really pay attention to?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it a report, I would call it a tool. It's a risk assessment tool. We know that business regularly run risk assessments. They run risk in terms of finance risk assessment, they look at commercial risk. We wanted to provide them with a tool to help them assess the risk on biodiversity. So we developed an understanding of how risk is generated. We looked at the magnitude of risk and the likelihood of risk of the different areas of operation of the fashion industry, linked to the different type of impacts they could have on biodiversity. So let me give you an example. For example, cotton. One of the biggest impact that cotton has is on habitat degradation. This happens through the occupation of land. So how do a company know if their impact, if the risk of impact is high? They're going to look at the likelihood of impact, which is linked, for example, to strong or weak legislation or existing cumulative impacts on the land. And the magnitude of impact is, for example, linked to, is the area an area of high biodiversity value, or for example, how we call a key biodiversity area. If these two conditions coexist, the company can really be sure that this area is of high risk and therefore really needing immediate action.
Okay, very well put together. Now, in terms of this report, clearly it's about a lot more than just the risks. This also seems to be about opportunities. Yes. What are some of the opportunities that stand out for you, for business?
Well, opportunities change depending on the sector, and for the fashion industry, we think that there are huge opportunities. First of all, on communication. Fashion is a consumer-facing sector. They can really talk to consumers about, for example, the value that biodiversity has, and using that also to position themselves as leaders. The sector also can use for example, a lot of the materials that are waste in other sectors and bring them in as valuable resources. So closing the famous loop that people talk about today, circular economy. They can really have a huge role to play there, taking away waste from other sectors. And then, of course, there are a number of actions that we think that the sector can take immediately. So, for example, apart from running the risk assessment, committing to zero deforestation supply chains, committing to water stewardship, so looking at water beyond the areas of the factory or the cultivation areas, but looking at the landscape level, committing to sustainable use of wild resources, and committing to eco-design. So really integrating at the initial stage in their design phase their commitment to biodiversity conservation. I know it might sound a little bit daunting, but we have worked with many businesses in IUCN, and we have seen that at the end of the day, all companies are really, really happy and satisfied, and they see the values and the benefits of integrating all these activities in their operations.
Well, there seems to be a really nice buffet table of choices for businesses to really jump in.
Yes.
Julia, thank you for these valuable insights.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. This is Dr. Laura Penn with Green Views, a talk show about green issues and green solutions in partnership with Dukascopy TV. Until next time.